Coming up next on Another View, the Spartan Crusade for Academic Success, or SCAS. It's the newest community and academic initiative spearheaded by Norfolk State University. And today we talk with NSU President Dr. Tony Atwater and Principal of Booker T. Washington High School, Kevin Monroe, about this program designed to increase on-time graduation rates, decrease the dropout rate, and prepare students for a college experience. It's a part of WHRO's American Graduate Let's Make It Happen, a continuing discussion of how we as a community can ensure that each student becomes an American graduate. We'll find out all about SCAS right after we check in with Pledge Central, where Anthony McSpadden and Heather Mazzoni are standing by.
Discussing the issues and celebrating the successes of the African American community. This is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Lisa Godley. Barbara Hemley has the day off. WHRO, along with other public media stations from around the nation, is part of a Corporation for Public Broadcasting's American Graduate Let's Make It Happen, a public media initiative to end the dropout crisis in our country. Each month, Another View will be a catalyst for conversation about dropouts and what we as a community can do to keep our kids in school. Today, we're talking about the Spartan Crusade for Academic Success, or SCAS. It's a new initiative by NSU designed to bring the entire community together in its effort to keep our kids engaged in school until graduation. It's the brainchild of Dr. Tony Atwater, President of Norfolk State University. Welcome to the program, Dr. Atwater.
It's great to be with you, Lisa.
And Kevin Monroe, Principal of Booker T. Washington High School in Norfolk and SCAS partner.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Glad to be back.
Thank you so much. Dr. Atwater, I'm going to start with you so you can explain to our listeners what SCAS is doing and what this program entails.
Yes, the Spartan Crusade for Academic Success is a comprehensive initiative at Norfolk State University involving its faculty, staff, and its students. And over the course of the next 5 years, we will be working to make it, a permanent initiative that will go on years and decades in the future. But, the focus is looking at education holistically, K through 16. We know that in terms of getting students college ready, it's very important to start early. It's not a matter of helping students when they're coming out as high school seniors become college ready. By that time, in many cases, the die has been cast. So the idea is to reach out into the elementary grades, in fact, pre-K, kindergarten stages, and on through junior high school and high school with initiatives that help students become college ready and familiar with a campus environment, because we want young students to start thinking early about the prospect of becoming college students. So SCAS engages our faculty as leaders in entertaining partnerships and collaborations of all kinds with the public sector, nonprofit sector, private sector, to provide after-school, weekend, and summer enrichment programs.
Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a moment. As part of the American Graduate Initiative, I have spoken to a lot of teachers, a lot of counselors, and there are some, not a lot, but there are some that say that too much of the curriculum, and Kevin, I want you to weigh in on this pretty soon, too much of the curriculum now on the high school level even is being placed on sending kids to college, and that there needs to be more trade school, technical school, because in their words, every child isn't college material. So I want you to respond to that.
Well, I think we need to deal with our young students holistically, and sometimes I think there is a tendency to teach to the test because of the stressors of accountability and assessment at both the state level and the federal level. I'm all for assessment and accountability, but teaching to the test we need to do some of that, but it also has its limitations. I really believe the key is dealing holistically with students in terms of not only the academic side, but also some of the personal side, academic support side, and the social family side. And SCAS is predicated upon dealing holistically, with students and helping them in all of these dimensions.
Okay. Kevin Monroe, principal at Booker T. Washington High School in Norfolk. When I was producing the American Graduate documentary here for WHRO TV, one of the things that I kept coming across was that life was getting in the way of a lot of these students, and they had a lot to deal with. So how important is that? You see them on a daily basis, that holistic approach, because they're dealing with a whole lot of issues.
There's no way to be successful without looking at it that way. If you're simply focused on the reading, writing, and arithmetic side of it, you're not going to reach a lot of our students. They have a lot of things going on, a lot of personal issues. We need to be mindful of those things, because if you have home life problems, medical issues, a lot of outside responsibilities, if you're hungry, you can't focus when you get to school. So all that's taken into consideration. We have a lot of interventions in place where we're identifying students who have issues so we can try to meet their needs through various services so that they can focus on their education. Being college ready has a lot more to do with more than just being admitted and going to college. If you need to be college ready, you're going to be a better military person. You're going to be a better person if you just go to work. It's about making a person a complete person. And I think a lot of people get caught up in saying, oh, well, everyone can't go to college. That's fine. But we want to give people the skills that's going to make them successful citizens and people, regardless of if they go to college. They may want to go later. They may have the skills later, but they still need to be able to perform, whether if they go into the workplace or if they go into the military.
Okay. All righty. Please join in the conversation. You can reach us at 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Dr. Atwater, tell me a little bit. I remember growing up and there was an Upward Bound program. I'm not even sure if it still exists, but how does what's happening with SCAS kind of pair with that?
Well, Upward Bound is still alive and well, and it's alive and well at Norfolk State University. I think it connects with the Spartan Crusade, because when I say that word, Spartan Crusade, that expression, Spartan Crusade for academic success, I find myself focusing on the word crusade. And crusade, to me, and this is my definition, means, a full court, 100% commitment, on the part, of multiple parties to get something done. And that's exactly what we're talking about. We're not talking about Norfolk State University's faculty to be able to single-handedly make a difference. What we are talking about is Norfolk State being a catalyst, working with multiple partners. And certainly, Booker T. Washington is our first high school partner, and we're excited and honored to have Mr. Monroe as principal, of Booker T. Washington, helping out as a partner. But we can't get this job done unless there are multiple partners, from the public side, from the private side, from the nonprofit side, joining hands to help these students holistically become the leaders and the professionals and the citizens that we need tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, what can the community do?
Well, the community can work with the Spartan Crusade for academic success in many ways. For example, one of the things that we've just created at Norfolk State is a Faith Partners Network. We're working with church leaders, throughout Hampton Roads to become engaged in a number of efforts with students. Some of the churches are already very much engaged in helping young people and very much interested in and active in the education arena. We want to coordinate and marshal, their focus, in helping young people, in many ways. We feel that we can join hands, with other schools. We have Lynn Haven Elementary School that we're working with in Virginia Beach, and we plan to join hands with other school partners at the elementary, junior high, and high school levels to make a difference. We're not naive enough to think that we're going to be the magic bullet, that the efforts that we provide are going to absolutely result in every student going to college. But what we can say is, joining hands with our partners, we can make a difference. And if we have more of these collaboratives going on across Hampton Roads, across the state, and across the nation, we can make a significant difference in the educational attainment, of our young people in America.
Kevin, once when I was over at Booker T, when we were working on the American Graduate documentary, I remember, I'm not sure if she was a counselor or a teacher, but she was talking to the students in the classroom, and she raised her hand and she said, "How many of you have somebody that you can talk to? That you can bond with, an older person at the school?" And the majority raised their hand. I think it was maybe one or two students that didn't raise their hand, and she said, "Okay, we're going to connect you with someone." How important is that?
It's extremely important. I don't think I've ever had a faculty meeting or spoken to a group of students when I didn't stress the importance of relationships and building those relationships. I expect the students to be involved, whether it's with a club or a sport or activity. I told them, I said, you have to have one person in this building, an adult that you feel comfortable with, that you're going to go to when you need help and have questions. On the flip side of that, I really stress that with my faculty and staff, that it's about relationships. Sometimes these students are having the positive comments and reinforcement that they're receiving throughout their course of their day are happening in that building. So it's important that that we're there for them, and that we keep telling them that we're there for them. So the students the better we become at building those relationships with the students, the more likely they're going to come to school. I know I've talked to kids that I'm here and they'll name the particular teacher. This is why I come every day, so I can see her or see him. And that's what we want. We have to have that relationship to keep them in.
Okay. Now, I understand with SCAS, there are different types of programs that connect Booker T to Norfolk State University. Can you kind of expand on what those programs are?
Yes, well, some of them are in the works, but, we have STEM programs for the students where on the weekends they can actually be engaged with our faculty members and learning more about the adventurous world of science and technology and engineering and mathematics, and we've had a number of those kinds of events that have involved young people with a great deal of success. I remember one weekend when it was a rainy Saturday, and we had, for example, a Girl Scouts group over on our campus, and it was, focus on science. In fact, it was a Science Alive forum, all-day forum, and here was like 300 Girl Scouts on our campus, with faculty members basically participating in workshops in all aspects of science and having a real heck of a time, a real fun time learning. Those are the kind of extracurricular and co-curricular enrichment programs that SCAS, is about. And with all of our partners, we're working to develop with them the things that can have the maximum impact. The good thing about SCAS is we don't assume that we have it all decided and determined, and it's not all wrapped up. It's a situation where we are working and relying on our partners like Booker T. Washington to tell us what are your needs. How can we partner, to get the goal accomplished that you want us to accomplish. It truly is a partnership.
I know I have noticed when I speak to kids, particularly African American kids, about their favorite subjects. I'm starting to hear more and more say math and science, when before 10 years ago it was so far away. It was English or literature or history, and you didn't hear a lot about math and science. So I want you both to kind of weigh in on how important that is as far as starting early, as far as getting them interested in that
it's very important.
Subject.
We've had this is my third year, and we've had quite a few students decide to go to college on that track. Our valedictorian a couple of years ago, who's at Howard, he's studying to be an engineer, and we were excited about it, and he stayed with it.
Okay,
and
that's good.
The earlier we prepare these kids and introduce it to them, the more we'll see the numbers increase. One of the most valuable parts of this initiative and this partnership, and I really appreciate Dr. Atwater for coming to us with this, is the emphasis on introducing the science, technology, engineering, and math field to our students who historically have not been involved in those things. We've partnered with them for several grants that will help us provide activities and training for teachers and students, weekends, summers, after school. And so those things will pay great dividends in the future. The big thing is exposure. I'm looking forward to this summer because this will be the incoming freshman class will be the first incoming class under this program. And we plan on targeting students who are at risk and who people may have already written off as not being college ready. And we're going to take those kids, expose them to Booker T, expose them to Norfolk State over the summer, and we're going to change their trajectory. And I'm excited about that, and it's going to be possible because of this partnership. But I think exposing them to the campus and the opportunities and helping them become acclimated to Booker T over the summer will ease that ninth grade transition. And I plan on seeing how they turn out 4 years from now.
Okay. Are you starting to see any revelations at this point of students that weren't exposed to the whole idea of going to college and now?
Let me tell you, we have, yes, and a lot of times the conversation comes up for the very first time for the student at Booker T when a teacher, counselor, or administrator is looking at, we're counseling, talking to them about life, looking at their grades and say, so what are your plans? Where are you planning on going to college? And no one had ever sat down and had that conversation with them. And I know we're sending kids to college based solely on the strength of my teachers staying on them and encouraging them and helping them. And it's great.
Well, we were at Lynn Haven Elementary School, and I don't want to tell you, when we were over there some months ago, it was delightful to see these young people, the way they start the day, and they've been exposed to the concept, of college through SCAS and through some other means. And so when the expectation and the plan is, the seed is planted early, it's like we expect to go to college. It's not a mystery. One way or the other, there is that expectation. And I really think that's what I like to see, rather than young people saying, well, I don't know if I'm going to go to college, or I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford it. We have young people over at Lynn Haven Elementary School that I would wager are saying, there's no doubt I'm going to college. And I expect to. And that's what we want. And we also want to demystify science and math, because I have to say this, I think among African Americans, sometimes there's this tendency to feel that this is the significant mountain to climb, we need to demystify it as being something that is more than they can catch on to, more than they can, quite frankly, be successful at. These are rigorous areas, but I think when we expose them to the teaching and to the peer mentoring, it's amazing how they respond. They start to say, well, this is pretty neat. And so all of a sudden you do have young people coming together and having a lot of fun, with math and science.
Oh, absolutely. Kevin, I'm going to direct this to you. What kind of skill sets do you think today's teachers need that, say, your teachers or my teachers didn't necessarily have to deal with or know?
A big part of it now is one centers around technology. But another thing is centered around, you hear a lot from back in the day, my time, and from veteran teachers, that the kids came and there were certain expectations that they were going to sit there and you stand there and talk to them, and that was going to be it. It's a lot more interactive now. You have to be a lot more entertaining and engaging than before, and it's a lot more personal. And with an urban school like Booker T, relationships are key. We are training teachers through a program called Capturing Kids' Hearts, which helps build those relationships with the student and parents. And that's you have to be a people person to kind of be successful. Jack of all trades in the classroom. You take of course knowledgeable of your subject, but you have to be engaging, entertaining, and willing to get to know the students personally.
Okay, and you were talking about connecting students with their parents. That's something that you didn't hear a lot of 20 years ago.
It's a partnership. It's us, it's the parents, it's the students. we all have to be involved in it actively in order for it to be successful, which is a successful graduate of Booker T. Washington High School. I can't do it by myself. The student can't do it by his or herself, and the parents can't do it by themselves. But together, we can get it done.
I agree with Mr. Monroe, and parents are such a key component, in the equation to solving some of our educational attainment shortcomings. One of the things we want to do with the Spartan Crusade is develop venues and programs to help educate and support parents, in playing the stronger supportive role they need to play, at various levels of development of these young students. It's key. It was key in my situation when I was growing up as a young military brat, in Germany. I tell the story, I could have easily failed first grade over there in Ramstein, Germany, if it wasn't for parents, that actually motivated me to do what I was capable of doing. And then from first grade on, it was an honor student. But that's what our young people need. They need the leadership and the encouragement of parents, and we need to help the parents understand how to play that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's important. Now, I'll ask you something a little bit about now the cost of college. How does that tend to exclude some students who might be scholastically prepared?
Tuition is always an issue around the country, and sometimes I think it is cast, in different lenses, so it can be kind of confusing. I think there's no way that you can put the level of tuition charged at a private university with a public HBCU like Norfolk State University. There is a definite distinction. But when you average all of these players together, the privates, the research ones, the HBCUs and so on, you come up with an average tuition figure that looks, it's up there. At Norfolk State University, our students, we're charging in-state tuition of right about just under $6,000, a year. You compare that, with another institution, say, for example, like, why don't we pick on one? Say UVA, and it's significantly higher.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just can't put us all, in the same barrel. Our tuition is, I think, on a par of being average, with universities of our size and of our character. If you don't compare apples to apples, what you see is, you average it out so that, everybody thinks that the tuition at Norfolk State is kind of like on the level of UVA or perhaps a VCU, and it is not.
Okay, I gotcha. Oh, okay, go ahead, Kevin.
There's another side that's critical in my particular area that's separate from tuition. It's just the process of being admitted to college can be a barrier for some families. Just even filling out the financial aid paperwork, getting taxes and things along that nature, making sure you take your SATs. We have a great group of counselors and administrators and teachers that spend a lot of time walking the kids through step by step to make sure that they have everything in. And I think that's a hindrance a lot of times, more so because they haven't even gotten to the cost part. They just haven't, to even get to that part. They're looking at, okay, Dad, what do I need to fill out? The deadlines, and I think that stops a lot of kids. So we make sure we're constantly bombarding them with the dates and the sessions where they can get help with admissions and financial aid and things of that, and SATs, and that's a big part of the problem.
One thing I will say is that tuition is a reality, that all students and parents have to deal with, and in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Governor McDonnell has invested, in higher education, and is proposing in the current budget, significant increase for higher education, which I quite frankly am grateful for, and the signal that we're getting is to limit, tuition increases as much as we can, and I believe that message is being heard by university presidents across the Commonwealth of Virginia. I think it's important to look at tuition, as something that needs to be contained, but also be looked at by parents and students as an investment in their futures. And tuition, in some cases, has gone up, not to justify every increase, but when you think about what higher education was 30, 40 years ago, before the internet, before modern computers, it's a different animal. And so some of those increased costs, are reflected.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atwater. Now, today is the last day, and we're going to continue this conversation in just a second. Today is the last day of our spring fundraiser, the time when you can show your support of the WHRV programming by becoming a member. Now, we depend on your membership to stay on the air, so won't you call and make your pledge in support of Another View? We would definitely appreciate that. Now, let's go over to Pledge Central and see how we're doing.
Well, Lisa, we're doing very well. We're counting down from $37,945. Here's the important bit, the phone numbers, 889-9476, 800-940-7170. You can also go online to WHRV.org. I'm Anthony McSpadden. I'm Director of Programming here at WHRV, and I'm with WHRO's Content Officer, Heather Mazzoni. And, Heather, where else are you going to hear this kind of great programming? I mean, I'm just enthralled with this American Graduate Series that we're doing. It's so important, and this dialogue is just not going to happen anywhere else.
You're only going to hear it on WHRV and WHRO. I can tell you that. American Graduate Initiative, we are trying to decrease the dropout rate and bring awareness to the Hampton Roads community about that. And Norfolk State University has stepped up, and they're one of our major partners. They are our major partner in this initiative. And we also have, we held a teacher town hall last month, and that's going to be televised May 6th at, I believe, 6:30 p.m. on TV 15.
And we've seen previews of it.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Some of us were there. I wasn't because I was on the air when it was happening, but it's really great. I mean, I was so impressed with the video edits that I saw of it. It's really phenomenal. You've got to be sure to tune in and see this. Heather and I have some good news for you. An anonymous Leadership Circle member from WHRV, who happens to be a big fan of Another View, has stepped up to the plate with the $400 match. And Heather's got some info on that for us. They
will match you dollar for dollar if your contribution comes in during Another View. So we need to hear from you. 889-9476. You can also do that online at WHRV.org. We've already gotten several contributions for Another View this today already. We have $161 left to go. If you call in and we hit $161, we'll get that $400 match. Oh my gosh. And this is only for this break, so we need to hear from you. 889-9476.
Yeah, we don't want to turn that money away, Heather. And, I got to say, we sort of calculated this gamble. Another View used to be on the television, and we had to, because of budgetary restraints, we had to take it off TV. We decided to move it to radio and try it out, and it has been phenomenal. And if you're one of those people out there who have really taken to Another View on the radio, and I love how Barbara always says, "I'll see you on the radio." That's just really classy. If you're one of those people out there who enjoys Another View, it's a nice show to have on Friday afternoons from 12 to 1. It reaches across the spectrum. It reaches people of all walks of life. I've heard from so many people who really just say it's just a wonderful show to listen to. If you're one of those people, let us hear from you, and let's take this $400 match from this Leadership Circle member who has stepped up to the plate with $400 to match your dollars. $161 pledge gets us that extra $400. We need that money because we're counting down right now from $37,568. Thank you so much for that call. Absolutely. It's a vote of confidence for Another View. And we want to hear from you today. 889-9476. 2 minutes left in this break.
Let's get those phones ringing. 889-9476. For Another View, the radio show, award-winning host Barbara Hamley and producer Lisa Godley bring you Another View. For our listeners right here in Hampton Roads, this is a weekly program. We're very proud of this program here on WHRV. As Anthony said, used to be a television show, and now it has found its home right here on WHRV. We could not do this without member support. Thank you, because these programs, all of our programs, are expensive. We do get a couple of them free of charge, but not many. 889-9476. Let's let that vote count for Another View today and all of the hard work that these ladies put into this program.
Oh, let's not forget Perry Smith.
And Perry, audio engineer Perry Smith, who posts that podcast too, an on-demand feature, so that if you miss it, you can hear it online at WHRV.org. You can also make your contribution online to WHRV.org because it will count towards this match.
That's right. It truly is a team that makes Another View come together. It's Barbara, it's Lisa Godley, it's Perry Smith. Pledge your support for that team. Another View radio show. 889-9476, 800-940-7170. Let's see, we've got some thanks to give out here. Tony Kelleher and Lisa Keller of Chesapeake in honor of her husband Tony's birthday. We always exchange information.
Happy birthday.
They exchange information they've heard on WHRV, so my guess is they learn something every day, just like I always say when you listen to WHRV. John Strecker of Newport News enjoys Diane Rehm and This American Life. Thank you so much for your pledge of support. 30 seconds remaining. There's another call.
We can do
Thank
this.
you. Let's get another call before we go back to another view. 889, there it is, 889-9476, 800-940-7170. And Heather, what's our website?
WHRV.org.
Now, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Spartan Crusade for Academic Success with Dr. Tony Atwater, president of Norfolk State University, and Mr. Kevin Monroe, principal of Booker T. Washington High School and SCAS partner. If you'd like to join in the conversation, give us a call, 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Dr. Atwater, I am going to play devil's advocate again. What do you say to someone who says, okay, Norfolk State's graduation rate, one of the lowest in the state, shouldn't you be focusing on getting the kids, the students that are there out of school as opposed to the kids that in high school, middle school, elementary school, getting them interested in college? What do you say to that person?
Well, one of the key objectives of the Spartan Crusade for academic success is working to enhance retention and degree completion by Norfolk State students. We know we have some improvements to make in that regard. I think part of the issue, quite frankly, has been being an access institution, actually having the access be so emphasized that we've not, taken more stock, on the college preparedness, of the students coming in, and I believe that's something that we have to do, and I think the state is expecting us to do more of. But the Spartan Crusade for academic success, is definitely about helping our students when they come into the gates at Norfolk State University to get the help they need academically and also in terms of family issues and social issues that they are dealing with. Again, just like the elementary and junior high and high school students, as Mr. Monroe has indicated, come in, with certain challenges socially and family-wise. The same thing, at Norfolk State University and at other historically black universities. They come in, with other issues that are non-academic issues. And so consequently, in my opinion, Norfolk State really doesn't have a choice but to deal holistically with the students. Because if they don't deal holistically with the students, then I think in some cases we're not going to have the level of success, that we should have. So the Spartan Crusade is focused on doing this. One of the initiatives of the Spartan Crusade that we have underway is developing a comprehensive student success center, staffed with faculty members and peer mentors, providing a number of academic support programs and tutorial programs, peer mentoring programs of various kinds. Next academic year, I'll roll out an initiative called Success Beyond Measure Life Skills Program. We want to engage alumni, retired faculty, corporate leaders, in helping our young people actually see what success is about and learn about life skills such as managing, a checking account and dressing for success, in an interview. These are things that are very important for them, giving them courage and confidence, about their studies. And so the Success Beyond Measure Life Skills program, which will be rolled out next academic year, I think will be really important for our students in helping them in some other key areas. Mentoring is so important, and our young people need really good mentors, to help them have the confidence level that they can succeed, not only on campus, but in life generally.
Okay, you were talking about, earlier we were talking about the teachers, each child having someone that they could connect with, and I'm sure you have, they serve as mentors in that capacity there, because there's not always somebody there at home that you can talk to, correct?
Correct. I spend a lot of times, we're open almost every weekend. A lot of kids come, they that's their second home, that's their first home a lot of times. Norfolk State has done a great job this year, especially with since this partnership, with sending students over to the school to help us out after school, and especially in math and other subjects, have activities with the students that gives them that younger person also to kind of bounce things around with, talk to about college life, talk to about other issues that they want to discuss. You can't put a price tag on the importance of that one positive relationship, that when you're just having that bad day, that person's going to tell you, hang in there, don't give up. You can do it, direct them to another person who may be able to help them with that particular issue. So it's mentoring is a big part. I speak to students at Norfolk State quite often, students in the Honors College over there, great bunch of kids there. They're looking to do more in the community, and they're always happy to come over to Booker T, so that's great.
Yeah, Dr. Atwater was talking about the initiatives that are going on at Norfolk State University for Norfolk State University students as well. What kind of initiatives are you looking forward to with this program for your students?
The biggest thing, and I mentioned earlier, is that getting that group of kids that's coming in as ninth graders and exposing them to everything that we have to offer in terms of the different fields that they're not historically attracted to, setting them up with the mentors from college at an earlier stage, exposing them to life on college at Norfolk State, and helping make that transition with the goal in mind that I'm coming in as a freshman and I'm going to college in 4 years. And I think that's a big thing. And also with them, Norfolk State helping provide opportunities for my teachers to increase their knowledge and skills from teachers who are teaching that content on a collegiate level. I think that's going to help us out a lot too. Working, what should these kids be familiar with when they come to college and take those types of courses, and I think that'll help us out a lot too.
So the dual enrollment, is that just focused for the freshmen coming in now, or can anybody that's a student there now?
My goal is for the freshmen coming in, for all of them to take a dual enrollment class by the time they graduate, and that was one of the first things that Dr. Atwater and I talked about when we met last year over the summer, to kind of put everything together with how can we get more kids taking these classes while they're in high school. So we have some things. When we formalize the partnership, we've already set our schedules for the year, so it's kind of impossible to kind of put the kids in classes at that point. But we're looking forward to having students taking college credit-bearing classes at Norfolk State next year.
Okay. We have a call. Danielle from Newport News. She went to Booker T. Washington High School, and I think and NSU. So Danielle, hello. Thanks for calling.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Actually, I did not go to NSU. I went to Hampton University.
Oh, okay. A pirate. Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But I was just calling to say I'm listening to the talk about the program, and I think it's going to be really successful. When I was a rising high school freshman going into Booker T, I was accepted into a music summer camp at Norfolk State, and that experience, in addition to the fact that my mom went to Norfolk State, really made me think about college a little more seriously. So I think a program like this would really help the kids going to Booker T, because most of us at the time, we really weren't thinking about college, and it's a good idea. And also to talk to them about some of the other expenses, not just books and hanging out money and things of that sort, because I also mentored a couple of kids at my church first-time family members going to college, and they hadn't considered the fact that they were going to need a clothing iron, some linen for their beds and other things for their rooms if they were going to stay on campus. So programs like this really do help people start to look at the expenses, and also to get the parents involved so that they can see. We really need the parental involvement to get these kids to really look at their future seriously, long term instead of short term.
Danielle, what encouraged you to become a mentor?
Just a simple fact. I grew up in the neighborhood across the street from Booker T, and there weren't that many mentors. My mom, being a single parent, she worked a lot, but she worked with us a lot as well. So she kind of kept a close eye on us in that regard, and I just wanted to pass that along. Just because you grew up in a single parent family doesn't necessarily mean you're going to meet every negative statistic out there.
Thank you so much for your call. Really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Mentors, encouraging Spartan alum to become mentors. But Both Kevin and I are Norfolk State University graduates, and that's a good idea. I want to ask you something, then I'm going to get back to you, Dr. Atwater. We're talking about how things have changed over the years as far as kids coming up and going through school. What impact or what role does social media play in that process, either distracting or helping to educate?
It can be used to educate. As a high school principal, it's a headache for me a lot of times. A lot of things are going on with the social media that becomes a distraction during the school day. It's out there. It's technology. It's the times that we live in. But more often than not, my experiences have been on the negative side when dealing with the social media. In terms, the country is very familiar with bullying now. A lot of times, I spend a great deal of time because of social media. It gets out there so fast, and it's hard to contain. But it can be used for good. But at this point, it's causing me a few gray hairs. But we'll deal with it.
Okay. All righty. Dr. Atwater, we were talking a little bit about the importance of mentors and the community getting involved, and the community is playing a big role in the SCAS.
Absolutely. And the mentoring, I can't emphasize the importance of that, because whether it's our students at Norfolk State University or these young people coming up through elementary, junior high, or high schools, they're looking for role models. They're looking for a reason to make certain priorities and certain decisions in their lives. And being able to have a living, breathing person step forward, as Kevin has said, and say that you can do it, and even though the odds may seem against you, you should aim for the stars, and you have it in you to, as we say at Norfolk State, achieve success beyond measure. I think that one of the things that's encouraging about the Spartan Crusade for academic success is there are certain corporations that have stepped up, indicating their confidence, in this initiative, and not only expressing their confidence verbally, but monetarily as sponsors. And I'd just like to thank Bank of America Foundation, the Dominion Resources Foundation, and the Norfolk Southern Foundation for each contributing financially to the Spartan Crusade for academic success. And also our NSU Alumni Association has stepped up, with a gift to the Spartan Crusade. So with these funds, we will be working, to develop high-impact supportive programs with Booker T. Washington, Lynn Haven Elementary, and other Spartan Crusade partners that are in the prospects of coming on board in the near future.
Okay, I'm going to go off the grid just a little bit, because I want to brag a little bit, and I'm sure Kevin does too. It was a proud moment when NSU won March Madness at the game. Probably a prouder moment, and I want you to respond to this, when your star player thanked the NSU staff and the coaches for recruiting him and giving him an opportunity for a college education.
Yes, it was really one of the highlights, I believe, of the academic year, and when we clinched the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference title, and then, of course, we went up against the number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, otherwise known as the Big Dance, and we broke a lot of brackets,
Oh, absolutely.
a lot of brackets by defeating the number 2 seed, University of Missouri, in the tournament. And I'm so proud of our guys, and we have great players. They also commit to their academics, so they're successful academically. And some people may not be aware of it, but our athletes, interestingly enough, and that's the case at a lot of other universities, do better academically, than non-athletes, because they have the support programs and the expectations, are such to play that they have to do their studies. And so there is an encouraging factor there with support networks built in, and so that's another reason to be optimistic with our young people, that given the right incentives and the right support, they can do well. And so our athletes are doing well. It's a great year for us at Norfolk State, because not only have we won the MEAC championship in basketball, but 4 other sports. And we've won it, in women's bowling. We've won it in men's indoor track, men's cross country, and also in football. And so 5 championships in 1 year, that's not bad.
That's pretty awesome. Did you go and dig out your NSU paraphernalia? Start wearing it, Kevin?
I have a bad back, and I was jumping around and screaming and as excited as anyone. That I'm extremely proud of the school and the job that the young men did and the job that Dr. Atwater is doing since he's been there. It was a great year for us, and I think the first of many more to come.
Let's just, your mouth to God's ears. We have Ralph calling in from Hampton, who's involved in adult mentoring. Ralph, thank you for calling.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for taking the call. I'm involved with an organization called the Center for Child and Family Services. Been in existence for 60-some years on the Hampton side, but I signed up with them to do adult mentoring. And you're talking about a challenge. But if they don't get it early, then they will come to me in the correctional facilities. That's primarily where we operate from. And I cannot echo enough the requirement to have that intervention early in life, because from the jail side of the house, and we need male mentors, believe it or not, we need male mentors. I get them on the back end. If they don't get it early, I see it in the correctional facility.
All righty, that is definitely something we need to talk about. Thank you so much, Ralph. Really appreciate your call. I remember when I was doing research and conducting interviews for the American Graduate documentary. That was one of the parts of the documentary was looking at young people that ended up going down that path, and a lot of times the same reason. There was nobody pouring into me, nobody really believing in me, and I connected with my friends that were actually my family at the time, and therefore ended up with that.
It's a very powerful point the caller is making. We as a society in America have a choice to make, and that choice is whether we invest on the front end in helping our students and our young people who will eventually be our leaders and citizens develop as we wish them to be, or whether we will contribute on the back end, as the caller is saying. If we don't invest, we may be contributing on the back end, and the back end involves investing in prisons and welfare and all of the rest of it. So it seems to me it's a smarter choice to invest on the front end, and that's what the Spartan Crusade for Academic Success is about.
Absolutely. Kevin, you have spoken, you have talked to, personally kept a couple of young men. I remember us talking before in school, and now they're in college.
Oh, yeah. I remember that conversation. I was just thinking of those 2 young men. I forgot you and I spoke about that. But that was one of my more happier moments, when you can sit there and you can see a young man going down that wrong path, one foot out the door, the other foot on a banana peel, so to speak, and they're just spiraling out of control. And it was about that relationship. I didn't give up on them. And I think we make it too easy sometimes to write kids off for when they have a bad day or when they're not conforming to some preconceived notion that we may have in our heads about how they're supposed to behave. And I think we have to make it tougher for them to give up and choose the alternative life that's going to lead them down that path, as Dr. Atwater said in the caller, in prison or unemployment. We have to provide those interventions early, and we have to not give up, because I could have been one of those students that someone gave up on, and I wouldn't be here today. And so I take it kind of personal when I speak to these young men, and they have issues and they're frustrated, but I come back the next day and try it again. And that was one of those young men who I kept talking to every week and wore him down until he just went to class, and he came to me and we made a plan, and he graduated in the summer, and he's at TCC now. So that's good.
That's a good place to be.
Yes, yes.
As opposed to the alternative. Absolutely. Well, Dr. Atwater, I know when I was a student at Norfolk State University, and there was always a professor or someone that would say, Ms. Godley, you make sure you get this, and this together. And I really appreciated that. And, they kept me on track. And, of course, I always had mom and dad with a fire under me, but they kept me on track. And I really appreciated that because when I left and went up to Northwestern for graduate school, it was, okay, here's your work. Make sure you do it. That was it, So
we got great faculty. They're very devoted to the students, both in the classroom and outside the classroom. And they do share this vision of dealing with the student holistically, and I think that's great. I think it's one of the things that makes Norfolk State University a great university is because we're not expecting necessarily to receive the student who is, so to speak, the preferred student with the 1,300 SAT scores, has had everything available to them earlier on in life. We're taking those students who, in many cases, they come from families of 40,000 a year or less household income. Some of them raised by single parents, many of them first-generation students. And our idea is to mold them and to shape them, into success stories. And there are a lot of success stories, among our graduates. And I think that you and Kevin are among them.
Thank you so much. And we will end on that note. Thank you so much, Dr. Tony Atwater, president of Norfolk State University, and Kevin Monroe, principal of Booker T. Washington High School. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing. And hopefully we've given folks a whole lot to think about.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you, Lisa. It's been a pleasure.
Time now for things to view and do in Hampton Roads.
You will be my Saturday love.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
For those of you who enjoyed the theater, the Academy of the Arts presents For Colored Girls, the stage play at Booker T. Washington High School. There are two performances tonight, Friday, April 27th and Saturday, April 28th. Both performances are at 7 p.m. Tickets are available. Call 270-9070 for more information. Come share your personal stories of desegregation of Virginia schools at the School Desegregation Learn, Preserve, and Empower event tomorrow, Saturday, April 28th from 10 until 3 at First Baptist Church of Hampton. Registration is required. Call 1-877-926-8300 to register. The Newport News, Hampton, and Denby alumni chapters of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated are holding a Restoration of Rights clinic also on Saturday, April 28th from 11 until 1 at the Pearl Bailey Library in Newport News. The clinic will provide assistance in helping those with felony convictions have their rights restored. Call 247-8677 to find out more. And you're invited to attend the America Healing Racial Equity Initiative sponsored by Norfolk's FBI Citizens Academy Alumni Association. Visit FBINorfolkCAA.org for more information. That's our show for this Friday. Next week, Healthy Norfolk. We'll talk about plans being developed to make Norfolk and all of Hampton Roads more healthy. For producer Mark Burnett, audio engineer Perry Smith, Courtney Jackson, who answered our phones, I'm Lisa Godley sitting in for Barbara Hamley. Have a great weekend.